on, guys? Thanks for joining me on this video today. Today's going to be a little different. I'm actually going to be talking about my buck here behind me, Sword. I took this buck back in 2020, it's December 5th, gun season here in Ohio. We're just going to jump right into it. This is the very first deer I've taken that was not off our property here. I've never hunted anywhere else besides home here. We got 64 acres here in Rootstown, and we've always had plenty of good bucks to chase and everything, so there's no need to go anywhere else really to hunt. So back in summer of 2020, we'd be going out to eat or something, coming home from work, and we kept seeing these just big bucks in this field right down the road from us, maybe a mile and a half at most, maybe a mile probably. And every day, so there's two sharp turns and there's fields on each of the sharp turns, and it's one big property, and every day we come home and seeing these just big bucks in this soybean field, and I mean there'd be 4 or 5, maybe 6 different big bucks in that area. And so that's actually what kickstarted us driving out every summer to do some scouting, to see some nice bucks and everything, see what's over on the property and what's like close to the property, because we got a lot of fields around here. And so about 2-3 times a week we'd be going out to drive and seeing these big bucks just feeding in the field. I'd take my little camcorder, be taking all these videos and everything. And it was a blast to go out and see all these different deer and whatnot. There was one night we went out and I was filming this field. There's probably 6 or 7 different deer out there, a bunch of nice bucks, and I see this just massive body come out of nowhere.
Oh, that's him. Yep, that's him. That's one hanging down by his ear. Holy smokes. Look at that thing. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at that brow tine, yeah. That brow tine's 12 inches long.
That's awesome.
And all I see is this right here. I see that just absolute massive brow tine coming out. I'm like, what is that deer? That deer is so cool. I see this one regular rack on one side, and then the other side is just that gnarly, non-typical side, but I couldn't tell exactly what it looked like because it was last light. And so I was like, we gotta get back out there and try to see what this deer is, because that deer is just so stinking cool. And sure enough, 2-3 weeks later, we go back out and just broad daylight, probably like 5-6 o'clock in the evening, just feeding on the beans. Had just big old gnarly drop tine on the one side, actually busted off. But after seeing all these different deer there, because there was probably 5 or 6 different big bucks there that I would probably shoot. One was actually Colossus, a deer that I was chasing last year, ended up dying. But all these different deer down there, I'm like, I gotta get in this place. Like, I've never seen this many big bucks before, and I've never had to hunt anywhere else because we have 64 acres here on our home property, and plenty of bucks around. So I was like, there's no need to go anywhere else. But seeing that many bucks in one area that I know nobody hunts, I'm like, man, I gotta get in there. I gotta make something happen. So what I ended up doing was I got hold of the farmer. Long story short, here on this property, there's a house on the corner that is attached to this whole property. The owners that lived in it unfortunately passed away. They were pretty up there in age, or 80s or 90s or so. So they ended up auctioning the house off. However, their kids actually took over the property because the dad that passed away said that he wants the property to stay in their name. They said they can get rid of the house, they can auction it off, whatever, but the property has to stay in the family name. So I ended up getting hold of the farmer, which we actually knew, and he gave me the owner's phone number because he has to bill somebody, or he has to pay somebody to still the property and plant and everything. So I ended up getting his phone number. He actually lived in New York, and after he told me where he lived, I kind of knew it was a done deal. He has no reason to turn anybody down to hunt this place. He's never there. And so I ended up getting a hold of him, tell him who I am, how far I am from here, that I've been living here my whole life. And long story short, we worked out some terms. He said, as long as I'm not tearing up the property, he can let me hunt. And just like that, season 2020, I have a brand new property to hunt with numerous big bucks on the property. I know that there is. So with that being said, this is completely new to me. I'm all kinds of excited. Like I said, I've never hunted anywhere else besides our home farm here. And so this opened up a whole nother realm of opportunities, because although we're so close, there's so many bucks down there that we'll never be able to see here, and just to have a different terrain and different area to hunt and everything, it's super exciting. And so with that being said, I had 2 big bucks I was targeting. One was obviously Sword here behind me, but another buck I actually call Colossus. I actually didn't know it was him. He was a target buck in 2019. He had a down year, and then after putting pictures side by side and browsing who it was, I'm like, okay, cool. He's still around. Still gonna target him. Him and Sword are my two #1 hit list bucks, and now I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna hunt this property. So hunting down there is a lot different from up here. So down there, there's virtually no woods at all. Everything is just open fields or swampy wetlands. So there's 3 fields. There's two soybean fields, and then there's another open hay field. So you got like a horseshoe of fields. Then in between that horseshoe is just a giant marshy wetlands area. It's got a big old creek going through it and everything too. So, I mean, they use that whole marshland for bedding. So if you go in there, you're bumping deer out left and right. And we actually found that out because I went in there to try to find a good spot to set up down in that marshy swamp. And sure enough, I ended up bumping Sword up, and he ended up running towards my dad. And my dad's calling me saying, "You're bumping deer, you better get out of there." So after we did that, I realized I had to hunt the outskirts, which is going to be a challenge. So without having many options, me and my dad both talked about it, and we decided that it's probably best for me to hunt this cut hayfield. There's 3 spots on this hayfield I could hunt out of. On the south side of the hayfield, there was this gas well with an apple tree in front of it. On the west side, there was a like a big pile of wood, bunch of wood slabs, and then there was a downed tree on the east side of it. So my only way to hunt there would be to just sit on the ground, because there's only one big tree on the very front corner of the hayfield, and if you put a stand, there's just going to be skyline. There's no cover around it or anything, so I had to resort to sitting on the ground. So the first time I hunted it, my dad said I should just sit in front of the gas well, because when I jumped Sword up out of the marshy area, he actually ran up by him, and he was next to the gas well, and he ran within 40 yards of him. So he's like, just pop up in front of here. There's like a little bush in front of the gas well. I sat there in the morning and just had no luck. I just didn't have a lot of confidence of where it was, how far I was from everything. So after that one hunt, I already decided, like, I gotta do something different. So after not liking that setup that one morning, after that I really resorted to hunting the big pile of wood slabs. And this is a little different. So the gas well, the spot I sat at before, is like 40 yards off of the field edge. However, this big pile of wood slabs is only 20 yards off the field edge. And plus, if I'm sitting there, it's weird. Like you're sitting there, and like after you get off the edge, it like drops down to the swamp bottom, and you can see almost everything. You can see a long ways. And after seeing that, I was like, even if they're not coming up to me, I can see the action in there and just see anything moving around. So after I made that transition from the gas wood to the wood slabs, I felt a lot better about my opportunities. One of the many hunts at the wood slab pile was pretty exciting. So one evening I was walking up to the wood slab pile, and I get like 50, 60 yards away from it, and I look out in front of me in the marshlands across the creek, and about 200 or 300 yards or so, I see movement. So I kind of hunker down, because I was in the wide open. So I hunker down, I get my binos up, and sure enough, I see Sword of 2 or 3 other bucks. And it was pretty awesome. I was watching there for a while. I had my camcorder, I was filming him. And he was sitting there, he was doing it, his head shaking, his whole rack was going side to side, his body shaking. And it was pretty cool. I watched them kind of walk off, and I creep up to the wood pile and sit down. I'm glassing the whole time, but I never did see them again. But that was my first time going to hunt there. I see my target buck for the first time, and it was pretty exciting. That got me pretty worked up to start hunting there some more. So after seeing him there for the first time, I started getting real pumped. Man, I was going there as much as possible, wind permitting. Good wind for that was like a southwest, west wind, and we get that a lot here in Ohio, so I could hunt there quite a bit. And mind you, again, I'm hunting in a hayfield. They have no reason to come up into this hayfield unless they're transitioning from one area to the next. And there's no food, there's no water up there, so I'm just kind of hoping for a miracle at this point. And so I'm sitting there, and sure enough, one morning I see him again, and he's on this side of the creek now. But man, he has a bad limp, and he's probably 80 to 100 yards to my left in the swamplands in this bottom, and he's limping like crazy. I couldn't do anything, so I got my camera on as fast as I could, and it was crazy to see. That buck was just limping so bad. I don't know how he got around that marshy swamp bottom like he could with all that water and all the down trees and everything, crossing the creek like he did. it was just crazy to see that deer was wounded, and he was wounded bad. So now knowing and seeing that this buck is wounded, it was already my target buck, but after seeing him wounded, that's made me want him even more. Like, I gotta put this deer out of his misery. And like, he's already a super cool buck, be my first non-typical if I got him, and he's wounded. Like, I'm just kinda gonna forget about Colossus, I ain't seen him in a while, and Sword is now my #1 priority on this property. Now after seeing this deer on his feet, within gun range, well within gun range, limping as bad as he was, just seemed like he's miserable. And after seeing that, that got me cranked up for gun season. I'd rather take a deer with my bow all the time, but hunting this property, it's very difficult to hunt with a bow there and without having a tree stand or anything set up. Fast forward to now, I have tree stands, I have blinds set up, but this is the first time hunting there, and I didn't know the best spots to hunt, so I was just hunting off the ground. So with that being said, gun season could not come sooner, and I'm getting the shotgun ready. So at the time, I didn't have my 350 Legend that I do have now. That's my main hunting gun. At the time, our main gun is a Remington 870 with a smooth bore barrel. We still have the gun now, and I got it dialed in. Luckily, I shot it before going out gun season on the weekend because it was off by a ton. I was aiming at a box this big, and it wasn't even hitting the target. So I went through like 10 shells getting that thing dialed in, and after a bruised shoulder, and many shots later, she was dialed, and I was ready to get in there this weekend for gun season. All right, so we got Saturday, we got gun season coming in. It's December 5th, and I'm sitting there, and ironically, I have a gun, and this is the first time a deer comes up to me in range on the corn in front of the wood pile, and as soon as this mama and little one comes up, they pick me off instantly. And so they kind of get behind me, they wind me, they blow, they run out in the marsh area, and they probably run for 150 yards or so, just going crazy, just running like crazy. And so I'm sitting there, I'm watching them, I see another buck to the right, and I look back, I look for the mama and little one again, and all of a sudden I see a limping deer. And it's early, it's probably the first half hour light or so, and I see a limping deer to my left, and that's Sword. I instantly knew that's him, and so I see a limping deer at 120 yards. Mind you, I have a smooth bore barrel Remington 870 12 gauge, and I see him limping out there, and I get up, and I take my shot, I stop him, I take my shot, and he starts limping again, and I take another shot, and that was it. I didn't see him, no idea if I hit him, no idea what happened. And so I called Dad and everything, and ironically, my brother's girlfriend Paige, she shot her first deer, so I was waiting there for a couple hours, which is fine because I don't know if I wounded him, I don't know where I hit him, if I hit him, so I want to give him plenty of time before I went in there looking. So I'm waiting there for a while, I'm glassing as much as I can, trying to see, but it's just so thick, you can't see anything. And I'm just waiting there for my dad to get there, and after a couple hours of waiting, they celebrate getting Paige's deer and everything, and finally comes down there, and it's time to go track him.
What's going on, shooter?
Huh?
What's going on?
I was sitting here, and about 7:20, 7:15, look over here, and I see a couple deers behind the truck there. Mama doe comes up here, and kind of sees me, but doesn't realize what's going on. She walks behind me, yearling comes up, does the same thing, they get downwind, and they run off. And I run down here, and way down there, past that kind of down tree, across the creek, I'm still watching over there, look around, and I see movement coming back. I put binos on, see if it was them coming back or what. It was a little buck coming back. Okay. And I'm sitting here, and then I look off to my left, and I see a limping deer. The buck I'm after, his name's Sword. He's on his left side, he's nice, but the other side's real gnarly. It's about a 12-inch brow tine and this big old ball of antler hanging down. His ear's actually growing, or leaning down that way from how messed up it is, but I seen him limping over there. He has a real bad limp. I knew it was him, and I leaned over, got a shot off. See those two trees right there? my left, there's a little opening right in there. So we're gonna go down there and see if we can find some blood and hopefully find him in that thick bedding area. Hopefully we can find him. I'm excited.
You got him?
Oh my God.
Yeah, baby. We got him. We got him. Where's he at, buddy? Where's he at? I'm coming, Justin. Oh my. Yeah, buddy. Yes.
I put it right in there.
Yeah. Good job, buddy. There he is.
Look how cool that is.
Look at his face.
Yeah, it's all bulged up.
Good job, buddy. That's the one you were after.
Yes! Yes!
Well, old 12 gauge did some work this morning. This is my number one hit list buck. He was just so gnarly. This one side, he had a little hook coming down here, but he had a real bad limp, and that just made me want this deer even more. And finally, this morning, well, past 3 days I've seen him every single time, and so I had pretty high hopes that he was gonna come out, and I was excited to get the gun on him, and I seen him. I had a tight window, and I took it. And luckily I did. I put one right behind the shoulder. And it's just the coolest buck I've ever shot. On this side, he's got a big old knot right here in his cheek. It's just a super cool buck. I'm so grateful I was able to take him. I wasn't sure about the shot. After I shot, he kind of limped off. I couldn't see where he went, but he didn't go 20 or 30 yards, and he just bedded up. I'm beyond happy I was able to take this deer. I wanted this deer more than any other one. I was able to connect with him this morning. He's an old deer. So we go down there and I find him instantly, and emotions hit me pretty hard. I never wanted a deer so bad. This is my first non-typical buck. Just everything just came together so awesome. In the summer we were scouting. I seen the deer before I even got access to the property. Like, man, what I would do to go after that deer and be able to shoot that deer. And I seen the deer. I got hold of the farmer. I got permission to hunt the property, and then to actually kill the target buck I wanted before I even got access to the property. It was just it all hit me at once. I don't think I've cried that much after I killed a deer. It's just everything hit me at once. It was just crazy. And to take 120-yard shot with a smooth bore 12 gauge and make two perfect shots is just unreal. The second shot, he was running, or trying to. He was limping as good as he could. But it hit me. It was just a magical moment, and I couldn't be happier. So yeah, that's a story of Sword and how I got access to hunt this property down the road a little bit. Kind of crazy how it all unfolded. Couldn't be more grateful. First year hunting that property, I got my number one hit list buck, and with a 12 gauge smoothbore, 120 yards at that, it's kind of crazy, but it worked out. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully I can get some more deer content for you. The season's coming down to an end though, so hopefully we can get down on a buck. But I just want to get some more content out there, and hope you enjoy. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.